Well, staying with healthcare, the maker of generic injectable drugs for hospitals that was spun off from Abbott Labs is Hospira. It announced today it acquired worldwide rights to a biogeneric version of a drug. What are they and why are they an important step in healthcare reform? Let's bring in Christopher Begley. He's CEO of Hospira. Good to have you with us, Chris.
Thank you, Carol.
Hey, let's talk about biogenerics. I mean, what are they?
Okay. Biogenerics are a new class of drugs. Biologics were developed a number of years ago. The patents are already beginning to expire, especially in Europe. In fact, we're already the only U.S. company selling a biogeneric in Europe today. And when we started selling the product, prices actually came down about 30%. Right. So we are saving the payers money in Europe.
All right, but you can't sell them here in the United States, can you?
Exactly, which is just silly, because we have no legislation to allow us to bring those products to the marketplace.
What's so controversial?
You know, back in the early 80s when the original Hatch-Waxman legislation was passed, this was a loophole. No one had anticipated this newer type of drug. And so what we need to do is get the legislation passed. There's two bills that are drafted up, and quite candidly, they're good bills, except for the fact that there is a 12-year exclusivity period, which is way too long.
Well, yeah, but if you're the company who's spending millions of dollars and many, many years to develop it, you want to get your money back. So that exclusivity isn't such a weird thing to them.
Well, that's why we have patent laws. When you develop an innovative product, what you end up with is a patent, and that patent life gives you the protection. In fact, on the exclusivity period, President Obama has come out twice saying that 12 years is too long, 7 is more appropriate. In addition to that, the FTC came out with a report saying 5 years is more appropriate. So somewhere between that 5 to 7 years.
So you can see that you should have a certain amount, but maybe not as long as 12 years.
We don't want to stifle innovation. Innovation's important for this country.
Let me ask you, biogenerics, though, then why are they such an important step in healthcare reform? Why are they so crucial? Because they often are very, well, biogenerics aren't, but the initial drug very costly.
Well, the biogeneric market alone in the U.S. is $40 billion. It's the fastest growing line item for both Medicare and Medicaid. Mm-hmm. And if we could reduce 30% off of that $40 billion, it's $12 billion. It's not the trillion we're looking for, but it certainly does help.
And you think we could do that?
I believe we can do that. I know we can do that.
Well, in terms of healthcare reform generally, Chris, you think it's going to happen this time around? It's not the first time we visited this on a massive scale. Do you think it's ultimately going to go through this time?
I believe some type of healthcare legislation will occur. When a leader stands up and says he's going to do something, he has more skin in the game and has to deliver. So I believe some type of legislation will occur. It's the right thing to do. We should change what we're doing from a healthcare standpoint.
Should it include something like a public option?
I believe we need to increase access. I also believe we need to make...
Is that a yes or a no?
Yes, yes. Yeah, that's a yes. And I also believe that we need to take and improve quality for patient care and reduce our overall costs as well.
All right, let me talk a little bit about your company specifically. And let me just ask you, in terms of the market opportunities in biogenerics, I mean, you see it, how big a market is it for you guys specifically?
Well, give you an example. Our pipeline, we have 6 biogenerics under development. They represent an on-market value today of about $18 billion.
All right. So that's what you're looking at.
That's what we're looking at today, and that will continue to grow as we expand our pipeline.
What do you think in terms of brand drugs that are most vulnerable, though, to generic competition?
I think those drugs that patents are beginning to expire are really the most vulnerable for generic competition.
Anything that comes to mind?
A lot of the oncology drugs, and then also drugs that support the side effects that come from treating cancer.
Right.
A lot of those drugs have been on the market for a decade or a decade and a half, and the patents are beginning to expire.
Okay. Let me ask you a little bit about your company. I know you guys have been going through a restructuring. It's called Project Fuel. A lot of analysts write about it. I mean, where are you guys in the process here?
We're about 2/3 of the way done. We've made tremendous progress in taking the complexity out of our organization, simplifying it, bringing speed back into the organization, which is making us more efficient and enabling us to take people out of the organization as well.
All right, so that means you're not looking to hire anytime soon, or are you?
We are doing some hiring in special areas where we need special skills that we don't have.
Right.
So it's a combination of reducing the size of the sales force, but also adding skills where we need those skills. Biogenerics is a fine example.
All right, just got about 20 seconds here. I know a lot of you guys do sales around the globe, but your most dramatic growth is in Asia, and I'm just curious if that's where you plan to kind of focus your efforts, or is it the United States?
It's really around the world. We find Asia Pacific, Europe, and the United States great markets. We're #1 leader in generic injectables around the world and have tremendous growth opportunities in every part of the world.
So you don't see any particular market that you're going to focus on?
No, I really don't.
All right, going to leave there. Chris, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Carol.
Chris Begley, CEO of Hospira.